everyone settle down. Settle down. It's time to get to class. Let's get into it. Hello. Welcome back to my classroom. Today, we are talking about the age-old question, how to write good dialogue. It's hard. A lot of beginner writers struggle with writing dialogue, and I'm going to take you all through some tips and tricks and some examples of writing good dialogue and what you need to think about when you're writing your dialogue. So let's get going. First up, you need to lay the groundwork. In every scene you write, you need to remember the purpose of this scene. Every scene must drive the story forward and bring your characters to some new situation that they have to deal with. There are a few great questions from David Mamet that I'm going to run through. Now the three questions are: who wants what happens if they don't get what they want, and why now? I'm going to be using an example from the movie Pulp Fiction.
Vincent. I'm on the intercom.
Where's the intercom?
In this scene, we basically only get dialogue between these two characters. There is no physical interaction, and they don't even see each other until the end of the scene. In this scene, the want of each character is very different. We see through their interactions that Vincent just wants to do his job and avoid getting killed by Mia's boyfriend. Mia, on the other hand, just wants to go out in the town and have fun. The stakes are much higher for Vincent in this situation, and if he doesn't get what he wants, he will essentially get killed. Mia, on the other hand, just wants to have a great time, and if she doesn't, then she'll be bored for the rest of the night. The why now comes from earlier in the movie when Vincent is told to take care of Mia for the night. He is given a clear time frame and just told to take her out on the town. This influences their dialogue as it creates very short responses from him and a more playful demeanor from Mia. Next up, we have some technicalities. One misconception with dialogue is that it's supposed to be realistic. And this is often a misconception, as dialogue is not actually realistic. Because each piece of dialogue needs to move the story forward, it can't be a bunch of ums and ahs and very useless pieces of speech. Three different categories of dialogue are exposition, characterization, and action. An example I'm going to use is The Falcon and Winter Soldier.
A sorcerer is a wizard without a hat. Think about it, right? I'm right. I just came up with that. It's crazy. But look, that's not the point. These guys aren't magical, all right? They use brute force, just like you. The incredibly annoying guy in front of me with the staring problem. I'm coming with you. No, you're not.
In this clip, we see some banter between Bucky and Sam, where most of it at the time seems irrelevant. But we learn later on that it's really a characterization and builds up for more of a dynamic between these two characters. This interaction can really fall into any of these categories, as it explains how Sam views the antagonists of the series and throws them into action. But really the main category that it falls into is characterization. Next, you want to get specific. Each character should have their own dialect and really stand out in your text. Whether that's an accent or pop culture references, it's really helpful to differentiate your characters from each other so that people can tell who's speaking without even needing to hear them. This is especially fun when you're playing games like Who Said It. You can try this with your own characters to make sure that they are individual in their dialogue. I'm going to use an example from the show Sherlock from BBC.
I don't know where we're meeting. I don't even know your name.
I know you're an army doctor and you've been invalided home from Afghanistan. I know you've got a brother who's worried about you, but you won't go to him for help because you don't approve of him, possibly because he's an alcoholic, more likely because he recently walked out on his wife, and I know that your therapist thinks you're limp psychosomatic quite correctly, I'm afraid. It's enough to be going on with, don't you think?
In this clip, we see the introduction of Sherlock and John Watson, and their dialects are very different, as Sherlock is very confident and self-assured, He speaks very fast and without much hesitation. On the other hand, we have John Watson, who takes a lot of pauses and clears his throat a lot. This can also be an acting choice, but it does seem to be a very prominent thing in both of their characters. As in Sherlock's writing, you can see big chunks of dialogue for the character. Another thing to note is to keep dialogue tight and straight to the point. You want to cut out very repetitive words and cut out anything that is not necessary. We want to get straight to the point and move on to the next segment. Now for a few bonus tips. One of the things that people struggle with a lot is knowing the difference between text and subtext. Subtext is what a character means and not what they say. This can be mainly expressed through the actor's portrayal. It's not necessarily through the text, but it is an underlying message that you can sprinkle into your writing. I have found it extremely helpful to both read my dialogue aloud and or cast actors in my head to play out the roles. And last but certainly not least is to show, not tell. This is the golden rule for most writing, as you don't want to batter your audience with a ton of exposition, and you certainly don't want to outright tell them the theme or anything that they should already know. Your audience is not stupid, and do not talk down to them. That is the end of today's class. I quite enjoyed this format. I did dress up for the occasion, and I'm wearing, I can't even kick that high. I'm wearing black pants, even though you can't see them. I feel like I just need a blazer and then I look really fancy. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful to you. Leave a comment down below if there's any other topics that you want me to cover. I am happy to dive into more rating videos. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell so you don't miss an upload, and hit that like button. It really helps me out a lot. I will catch you all on Saturday with another video. Bye! Welcome to writing 101. I'm not doing that. Oh, that's why it's really zoomed in. That solves everything. Everyone, settle down, settle down. It's time to start. Oh, I was not in frame. Oh my god. I don't know how to get this thing off. I put it on, I don't know how to get it off. I'm not actually gonna press any buttons. Because then I'd be like, turn off the lights. Girls in suits.